wonder. I just want to look up on the first time I texted you. I'm curious because I remember, I don't know if you remember, but as soon as you joined TikTok and was saying you wanted to consider running, I direct messaged you and said, I want to interview you. And you said, maybe in October. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry for anything
But
I've
no,
said.
but it's so hilarious that, like, you kind of knew that was probably the most relevant timing. But I
Yeah,
can't.
well, here we are. Here we are. Yeah, it goes through phases of being super chaotic, and then then we get kind of back to balance. Then it gets wild again. So anyway,
I
we're
don't know
here.
how your hair looks so good with all those kids and the career
Just,
and the
just wash my head this morning, just QA. I'm gonna go vote today. So I'm like, oh, someone's bound to take a picture today. So let me
Oh,
fix.
that's a good one. Yeah. I voted already here in California, which, you just never know. You got to make sure you vote, and you can't rely on the blue state as being. We did
For
we
sure.
did have Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we did have Ronald Reagan, and
Yep. Yep.
so,
Well, they want me to take the whole family to vote, and which I mean I want to do anyway, but there's 6 kids at home, and like there's some logistic, like we got practices and appointments, and my husband were like, okay, so today we can pull it off.
yeah, you're gonna take the whole brood,
The whole fam damly.
and people are photographing that for social media and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I'll make it some content for sure.
Hello.
It'll be fun. It's a minute.
So just tell me, because this is all about you, and we'll edit it down so we can promote it. And tell me where you are, what you are, how you are, what you were before, and what you plan as an elected person to do for your state.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm Kelly Krout. I am running for Lieutenant Governor of Arkansas. I live in the tippy top northwest corner of Arkansas in a little town called Lowell. And I'm running to be Lieutenant Governor to be an advocate for Arkansas families. I was a foster parent for a long time. I recently graduated with my master's degree and got my social work license. I'll be moving into the mental health field. That's where all my training has been, but most of my experience has been serving as a foster parent in the community. My husband and I have 7 children, 3 of whom we adopted out of the foster care system, and they're all boys. And so that's a rowdy, fun time. I grew up in central Arkansas in Russellville, and then we moved up here about 18 years ago and have really gotten settled. The lieutenant governor job is a little bit quirky. A lot of people don't know what it is, which is fine. But it's a part-time job, and they preside over the Senate and would vote to break a tie if we had one. And then they are the one who would become the governor if the governor were to resign or die. So the job description, assuming the governor, remains in office, is pretty short. So it's got a lot of space for advocacy and being kind of a megaphone. It's the second highest leadership position in the state, in the executive.
Right.
So I'm just, that's something that I'm passionate about, is raising awareness for the foster care system, criminal justice system, these kinds of things, just being a voice for what's impacting the more average Arkansan.
And what made you decide to run?
So this is my second time running for office. I ran for state representative in the last cycle, very much, I won't say on a whim, but almost. Like I was just watching people pop up to run for office and thinking, that guy does not represent my values. That guy definitely doesn't represent who's running that I can support. And I look around and there wasn't anybody. We have a lot of uncontested seats here in Arkansas. Happens all the time that some dude just says, I would like to be the senator, and he gets to sign up and be the senator because nobody challenges him. And so I looked around, I asked around, I was ready to support somebody, and there was no one. And I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll do it myself. And so I stepped up to run for state rep. I didn't win that election, obviously, but we did move the needle pretty substantially for a conservative small district in Arkansas. And so I wanted to run again, and I wanted to run where I could make the biggest impact. And we needed someone for this position. It's statewide. I had the time and energy and resources to be able to pull it off. So here we are.
And wait 1 second.
You're fine.
And the kids, they are totally into it. And did you have to clear with them? I'm just curious because I of course am not a parent outside of the two
Right.
dogs that you're at bar.
Right. Well, it's funny. I've kind of blasted people on social media for being like, oh, what does your husband think? Because like, oh my God, of course I talked to him first, like, but not that I needed his permission, but this is
No.
a family deal. Like everybody's involved in this. A statewide campaign, especially, is a lot of travel. It's a lot of time gone. And when I told my husband, like, hey, I really want to run for lieutenant governor, he was like, heck yes, you would be awesome at that. Like for sure. And so he's been very supportive from the beginning, and that has rubbed off on the kids. And so the kids are supportive. But they think it's really cool. I've got teenagers who have gotten really into politics.
Yeah, the age range. I wanted to know the
Yeah.
age range.
So I've got an adult who's 23 and he's out of the house. He's doing his thing. And then we've got 17, 15, and almost 13. And those three have really learned a lot about the process. 17-year-old actually works for me. He's a paid canvasser. He's phenomenal. He knows what he's talking about, and he's outgoing and really great with people. And then the little ones are almost 7, 9, and 12. And it's a little bit more abstract for them. Like, oh, cool, mom, there's your name on a sign. Like that's sort of
right.
the most that they understand about that. But they've been really supportive. They wear their little t-shirts and they help me knock doors, and we've made a lot of it as family oriented as we can.
So primarily it's a red state, I would imagine, if you have people like the Huckabees
Right.
as the shining example of like an Arkansas.
Yeah.
What an Arkansanian? What would somebody from Arkansas? Arkansan, okay.
It's kind of counterintuitive. We get a lot of press for being a red state, but what I say, and what every Democrat across the board is saying, we're not a red state, we're a non-voting state. We've got the worst voter turnout in the nation, worst voter registration in the nation. So, I mean, we're looking at like half the voters turning out. So let's not really declare a color until we've got better turnout so we can get a real picture of how people feel.
That's smart. And so the Democratic Party, are they being effective in trying to turn out the vote? Because I'm hearing a lot of complaints about the DCC and the DNC and whatever. So I'm just curious how it's going in your state.
Yeah, good question. And we had kind of a shift in leadership in our party right at the beginning of this election cycle. And so he was kind of going in there and, paying off some debts and getting people re-engaged and kind of rebuilding trust with the party. I have personally felt incredibly supportive by the statewide party. The bunch of them are dear friends of mine and helped anytime I've been reached out to do so. So I think we're moving in the right direction. Everybody understands it's kind of a long game in Arkansas. There's a lot of work to do.
And who are you running against?
So I'm running against Leslie Rutledge, who is the current Attorney General of Arkansas. She's the one who kind of made herself known on that Jon Stewart interview a couple weeks ago about the
right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So do the people that you're going out into the streets and talking to, are they aware of that moment? Is that
a lot of them? Yeah.
Are they running ads? Are you running ads highlighting that, or are you trying to not be that kind of?
I had a lot of social media that I used after that to kind of highlight what had happened. And then also just highlight, hey, listen, this is what you saw from your leadership in Arkansas about gender affirming care. Here's what it actually is. And just trying to educate. I've used my platform a lot to just like voter education. So people feel empowered when they go into the polls, so they know what they're talking about, and kind of dismantling some of this manipulative fear-based stuff. I'll call it like manufactured fear about other Arkansans. There's a whole lot of that coming from the right in Arkansas. And so just trying to make sure people know what the truth is. There are actual people who think 6-year-olds are out here getting reassignment surgeries.
It's not a thing. It's so insane, right?
It's not a thing. So just trying to help people understand.
I would imagine, as someone who's proven to be part of the adoption process and a proponent for that because of its necessity, are you getting people that are like, oh, well, Roe v. Wade, how does that kind of blend in to, because you're a shining example of what all these people who talk bad about abortion would never adopt, and here you are, like the perfect candidate of who to be,
It's interesting. I think I've got a lot of privilege to be able to speak of abortion in the way that I am able to. And I recognize where I am and the audience. And I think at a glance, I'm a white lady in my late 30s with a whole lot of kids. And I think I look more conservative than what I am. And we've done this foster care thing, we've done this adoption thing. And so people will listen to what I have to say about it, because I've been in some of these different spaces and done some of this work. I always try really hard to keep it two separate conversations, though. I understand the overlap for sure, but abortion is choosing not to be pregnant. Adoption is choosing to be a parent, and those are different conversations and not a simple fix one for the other. Anytime someone is simplistically suggesting adoption as like the answer to abortion, I'm just like, you are grossly underestimating the toll of pregnancy and childbirth and just the trauma of adoption. Like it's not a simple thing. It's not simple for the kids who are adopted. It's not simple for adoptive parents, no matter how great the family is. And so there's just a lot of nuance that needs to be added to the conversation, and it's not a simple solution.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great answer. I just think I followed you from the beginning. I've been, chasing you since the beginning. What do you want people to know about your positions on anything that you think might come up as a tie-breaking vote?
Right. Everything I am out here standing for is just proactive policy that helps people do well before they need things like the foster care system, before they need things like the criminal justice systems. There are a lot of ways that we could serve these families in a way that empowers them to do well here versus punishing them for ending up in a system that doesn't really allow people to do well. I'm real clear about, my stance on, Second Amendment issues. Like, we're gun owning Democrats in Arkansas. That's a thing. You can be that, but we can also keep people safe with, background checks and closing loopholes and keeping guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. That's something we can do.
Right. What's the age that you can purchase a gun in Arkansas?
18, maybe younger for, some types of guns. I know 18 for like the assault type stuff. It's disgusting.
Is there, and what about AR-15s also?
Yeah, that's what you can be 18 for here. Mm-hmm.
Are you looking to raise that to 21, or is that even on the
do
ballot?
to be more reasonable, waiting periods. It's shockingly easy to get a gun here. So easy. It's easier to get a gun than like a driver's license.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a commercial going on. There's a commercial on social media showing that it's easier to get a gun. Like a little boy goes and gets a gun. And I don't know who's the comedian who does the thing trying to get like, some kind of abortion pill, you know what I mean? Any kind of contraception you can't get. But this little boy goes up to the guy and says, I'll just get a gun. Yikes.
It's messed up, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't raised this way, but I was really conservative as a late teenager. My early adulthood was spent in a very deeply evangelical culture, very, very conservative. And I've sort of made a big shift. But having been in those spaces, I relate to people really well. I have a lot of Republican friends who are supporting me, who are campaigning for me. I understand kind of the thought process. And so I'm able to communicate in a way that doesn't shut them off, completely. And there's a lot of space to make progress. I'm not talking about watering things down or compromising, but we can make policy progress without agreeing completely on the original issue. We can have totally different stances on guns, but we can still make public policy that keeps more people safe.
I think, using your past, your presence to build the future, I think is important, since we are so divided as a country. And if you can kind of bridge any conversation, I'm not optimistic it's going to happen a lot over the next, whatever, 2 years leading into 24. But I just think that there's just certain people that need to be in our government. More of them are women, and and not a woman the one that you're running against, for sure. Yikes.
She's building up the boys system, so yeah.
Right. And Jones, he's like awesome too, right? I've seen
he's just as amazing as he seems. Yeah.
So are there any kind of idea on how he's doing? I mean, do you get a sense of, I hate polling, but is there just kind of an idea of where things are situated?
Yeah, so there has been some polling for his race. The most recent one has him at 41%. But you got to understand that the previous Democratic candidate for governor in Arkansas got 31%. So that's a massive jump. And
Right,
so
right.
there are a lot of people that are getting involved that haven't been involved. We've been registering new voters left and right. There's a lot of momentum here in Arkansas, and there's a lot of feeling. A lot of people have thought, oh, I'm a blue dot in this red state, and nobody else thinks like me. And we're having all these events, and people are coming together, and they're like, oh, holy crap, that's my neighbor. She's a Democrat. Like, and they didn't realize that other people
Right.
do think like them. And so people are just getting a little bit braver to speak up. So I'm encouraged. I think we're moving in the right direction.
Right. And you're polling okay?
I haven't done any polling. It's super expensive. And mine hasn't been one of the lucky races that just got randomly polled by, like, some of the
Oh,
business
oh, oh,
and
okay.
stuff here. But we've got some other statewide Democrats that are still trending in the low 30s. I've got reason to believe I would be in between those, just given how the campaign has gone and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We've made a big impact. We've reached a lot of people. I'm just hoping the follow through to get to the polls is there.
So what's your schedule till election day? What's it look like?
So when I'm home, and I'm home today and tomorrow, I'm doing, making phone calls, doing some door knocking, doing some sign waving. I'm going to vote today. Friday, Saturday, I'm doing some more traveling down to the central southern part of the state, and then just more trying to get out the vote. So it's starting to slow down travel wise,
Right,
which is
right.
good because I'm tired. But I've
I'm
really
telling you,
enjoyed
you
it. I
would
mean,
never know you have 7 kids and running for office. And are you still work and are we working currently, or is this
no,
real?
I'm not working. I'm campaigning full
Yeah,
time.
okay.
So when I say I got this degree in the spring, like I was a full-time graduate student the past
Right.
year.
That I
And I graduated.
remember. Right, right, right,
Yeah.
right.
And so I have yet to put it to work. But anyway, so yeah,
Well,
this is
clearly you're super mom, so and superwoman, which is like really kicked into the 80s when women were really starting to take that role, the boomer women, but you're like a young, are you what you Gen what?
I think I'm an elder millennial. I'll be 40
Elder.
after the election. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, again, I will just hope that you have the full experience of winning because I think you're awesome candidate. Is there
Thank you.
anything else you want to say?
Just follow along and support if you can. And, don't give up on states like Arkansas. Don't just write off a huge swath of people because they've trended a certain way. There's been a lot of voter suppression. There's a lot of trying to silence a lot of voices, and we've got to give everyone an opportunity. And, just the accessibility to politics. That's why I use the social media and stuff, because it gives people a way to get involved. So
Right,
let's tee them up for success and not write people off.
right. Well, I wish you the best. Thank you for taking the time. I
Thank you.
will post this and I'll keep you posted when it goes up.
I appreciate you.
No, I
Great.
appreciate, I wish you the best. Of the
Thank
many races I've been kind of following, and I'm following a lot of them, I just have a good feeling about
Okay. Hey, I'm accepting all good feelings.
you. Sending it from LA.
That's
Have a,
right.
have a
Accepting.
great day.
You too.
Good
Thanks for
luck.
having me.
Bye. Ann.